Are you ready for some comedy?
Yes.
Are you ready for some drama?
Yes.
Are you ready to be in awe of celebrity stardom?
Yes.
All right, I'm so glad you're here for that because we've got a big shitload of stars here for you tonight. Just loads of them, and they're all excited to come up here. And I'm going to start things off right off the bat with someone who is so famous and big that you all know his name. I'm just going to give it to you anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mark Twain. Mark Twain.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Thanks, folks, for that warm welcome. Yes, indeed, I will be reading from the autobiography of Mark Twain tonight. And do forgive me if you feel I'm lacking in costume. I just didn't want to be a half-assed Hal Holbrook or something, so I just thought I'd just go ahead and let the words speak for themselves. This is not the new autobiography of Mark Twain, but it was published well after his death. So he felt free to talk about all kinds of stuff. And it was very hard to select something. But I think I've succeeded. Now, when you think of Mark Twain, you think of rough and tumble characters, and Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and floating down the river on rafts, and jumping frogs, and things like that. And, but what you don't think about is that Samuel Clemens was a married man, and he was. So we're going to look into the home life of Mr. and Mrs. Clemens in this particular chapter, chapter 40, as a matter of fact, to be specific. He was living in Hartford, Connecticut at the time, so this is around 1886-ish, I guess. And his daughter, Susie, who was the apple of his eye, he adored her, she had started writing a biography of him when she was 13, so he was very excited by this, and so he would sit around the breakfast table and think of clever things to say so she could go write them down later. So in fact, she was actually the original shit my dad says, if you think about it. But don't think about it too hard, because that didn't go over very well at all. But the house that he had built in Hartford was like a 4-story affair, and it had a burglar alarm, because Mark Twain loved technology and gadgetry. He didn't always understand how it worked, and he wasn't always happy with the results, but he loved it just the same. And Susie talks about the burglar alarm in her little biography of Mr. Twain, or Samuel Clemens. And so that I only say this because this is how it starts. That burglar alarm, which Susie mentions, led a gay and careless life and had no principles. It was generally out of order at one point or another, and there was plenty of opportunity, because all the windows and doors in the house, from the cellar up to the top floor, were connected with it. However, in its seasons of being out of order, it could trouble us for only a very little while. We quickly found out that it was fooling us, and it was buzzing its blood-curdling alarm merely for its own amusement. Then we would shut it off and send to New York for the electrician, there not being one in all Hartford in those days. When the repairs were finished, we would set the alarm again and reestablish our confidence in it. It never did any real business except upon one single occasion. All the rest of its expensive career was frivolous and without purpose. Just that one time, it performed its duty, and its whole duty, gravely, seriously, admirably. It let fly about 2 o'clock one black and dreary March morning, and I turned out promptly, because I knew that it was not fooling this time. The bathroom door was on my side of the bed. I stepped in there, turned up the gas, looked at the annunciator, which is like a switchboard gizmo that would have told him which part of the house the alarm was going off in. Looked at the annunciator, turned off the alarm, so far as the door indicated was concerned, thus stopping the racket. Then I came back to bed. Mrs. Clemens opened the debate. What was it? It was the cellar door. Was it a burglar, do you think? Yes, I said. Of course it was. Did you suppose it was a Sunday school superintendent? No. What do you suppose he wants? I suppose he wants jewelry, but he is not acquainted with the house, and he thinks it's in the cellar. I don't like to disappoint a burglar who I am not acquainted with, and who has done me no harm, but if he had had common sagacity enough to inquire, I could have told him we kept nothing down there but coal and vegetables. Still, it may be that he is acquainted with this place, and that is what he really wants, is coal and vegetables. On the whole, I think it's vegetables he's after. Are you going down to see? No. I could not be of any assistance. Let him select for himself. I don't know where the things are. Then she said, but suppose he comes up to the ground floor. That's all right. We shall know it the minute he opens the door on that floor. It will set off the alarm. Just then the terrific buzzing broke out again. I said, he has arrived. I told you he would. I know all about burglars and their ways. They are systematic people. I went into the bathroom to see if I was right, and I was. I shut off the dining room and stopped the buzzing and came back to bed. My wife said, well, what do you suppose he's after now? I said, well, I think he has got all the vegetables he wants and is coming up for napkin rings and odds and ends for the wife and children. They all have families, burglars have, and they're always thoughtful of them. Always take a few necessaries of life for themselves and fill out with tokens of remembrance for the family. In taking them, they do not forget us. Those very things represent tokens of his remembrance of us, and also of our remembrance of him. We will never get them again. The memory of the attention remains embalmed in our hearts. Are you going to go down and see what he wants now? No, I said. I am no more interested than I was before. They are experienced people, burglars. They know what they want. I should be no help to him. I think he's after ceramics and bric-a-brac and such things. If he knows the house, he knows that that is all that he can find on the dining room floor. She said, with a strong interest perceptible in her tone, suppose he comes up here. I said, it is all right. He will give us notice. What shall we do then? Climb out of the window. She said a little restively, well, what is the use of a burglar alarm for us? You have seen, dear heart, that it has been very useful up to this present moment, and I have explained to you how it will be continuously useful after he gets up here. That was the end of it. He didn't ring any more. He didn't ring any more. He didn't ring any more alarms. Presently, I said, he is disappointed, I think. He has gone off with the vegetables and the bric-a-brac, and I think he is dissatisfied. We went to sleep, and at 8:15 in the morning, I was out hurrying, for I was to take the 8:29 train for New York. I found the gas burning brightly, full head, all over the first floor. My new overcoat was gone, my old umbrella was gone, my new patent leather shoes, which I had never worn, were gone. The large window, which opened into the ombre at the rear of the house, was standing wide. I passed through it, and I tracked the burglar down the hill through the trees. Tracked him without difficulty, because he had blazed his progress with imitation silver napkin rings and my umbrella, and various other things which he had disapproved of. And I went back in triumph, proving to my wife that he was a disappointed burglar. I had suspected he would be from the start, and from his not coming up to our floor to get human beings.